Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. What life has taught me. Swami Ranganathananda. Introductory. I am not at all inclined to write my autobiography, nor would I like anyone else to write my biography until I shed my mortal body. But my life has certainly taught me some lessons about which I shall express briefly now. At the age of about 12 or 13, in my mother's presence, I used some foul words against a person. My mother immediately reprimanded me lovingly thus: "My boy, your tongue is the abode of Vani or Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge and wisdom. Don't soil it by using foul language against others." That advice went straight to my head and heart and has influenced me all these 7 or 8 decades. Though born and brought up as a boy in a village, which generally makes for a narrow outlook, I escaped this even in my village life. I broke rules of untouchability and caste superiority and used to eat fruits from the hands of one pariah tenant couple, who later on wept when I left home to join the Ramakrishna mission. I broke rules of untouchability and caste superiority and used to eat fruits from the hands of one pariah tenant couple, who later on wept when I left home to join the Ramakrishna mission. When my mother fell ill, the family had to get medicine from an Ayurvedic doctor living a mile up the river, on the bank of which were our paddy fields and home. Our cook agreed to go to meet the doctor in a boat up the current, if one of the elder sons of my mother agreed to help to row and punt the boat. No elder brother agreed to go. When I was asked, I readily agreed due to 2 factors, namely love for the mother and love of adventure. We met the doctor and brought the medicine. It was a play and fun for me to row the boat up and rowing it back. This love of adventure and dislike for easy life, and the German philosopher Nietzsche's dictum, "Live dangerously," has been with me ever since. This love of adventure and dislike for easy life, and the German philosopher Nietzsche's dictum, "Live dangerously," has been with me ever since. Chapter 2. Impact of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna on me. At the age of about 15, studying in class 8, a friend brought a book in English from the Thrissur town library and asked me, "Do you like to read a book?" I said yes. He gave me the book and went away. It was the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, early Madras Ramakrishna Mutt edition. As soon as I started reading the book, I became absorbed and could not stop till I read about 100 pages. The appeal of Sri Ramakrishna to my heart was simply instantaneous and tremendous. That started a deepening and broadening of my life, and to the reading of the then available 7 volumes of Vivekananda's complete works, 2 volumes of the Gospel, and Sister Nivedita's The Master as I Saw Him, and memorizing Swami Abhedananda's beautiful hymn to Sarada Devi, the Holy Mother, beginning with Prakritim Paramam. All these determined the future course of my life, which meant love of God and love of our people, irrespective of caste, creed, race, and gender. And I left home 3 years later and joined the newly started Ramakrishna Ashrama in Mysore, the head of which was the most holy and lovable late Swami Siddheshwarananda, who was Gopal Mara of Trishur Kotil Mara House, and whose father was the second prince of the then Cochin royal family, and who later on established the Centre Vedantic Ramakrishna in Paris. Siddheshwaranandji and I met Gandhiji in Mysore in 1927 and made pranams to him, and again in Bangalore in 1936 or 1937. Gandhiji's weekly in India used to come to our ashrama in Mysore, and I used to read each issue, Breathing Truth and Non-Violence, with great delight, until Gandhiji stopped its publication and started another weekly Harijan. Chapter 3. Impact of Swami Vivekananda on me. It was a tremendous inspiration to read the far-sighted views of Swami Vivekananda about India's bright future, even when we were all slaves of the British, and his firm views about the widespread diffusion of the strengthening, unifying and universal truths of Vedanta in India and abroad during the coming centuries. It was a tremendous inspiration to read the far-sighted views of Swami Vivekananda about India's bright future, even when we were all slaves of the British, and his firm views about the widespread diffusion of the strengthening, unifying and universal truths of Vedanta in India and abroad during the coming centuries. He has kept before us a plan of developing a Vedantic society and civilization, first in India and later abroad, in the coming centuries, synthesizing Eastern and Western cultures. Our Vedanta philosophy is high, but our society does not bear any Vedantic touch. In a letter from America to his Madras devotee, Alasinga, on 20th of August 1893, Swamiji had written, Complete Works, Volume 5, page number 15. No religion on earth preaches the dignity of humanity in such a lofty strain as Hinduism, and no religion on earth treads upon the necks of the poor and the low in such a fashion as Hinduism. No religion on earth preaches the dignity of humanity in such a lofty strain as Hinduism, and no religion on earth treads upon the necks of the poor and the low in such a fashion as Hinduism. And a few months later, in his Lahore lecture on Vedanta, he had wrote, Wipe off this blot. In one of his Madras lectures, The Work Before Us, Complete Works, Volume 3, page 271, he exhorted his countrymen to realize that modern India will be a harmony of Greco-Roman and European cultural values and ancient, tested Indian cultural values. Today, the ancient Greek is meeting the ancient Hindu on the soil of modern India. In this context, it is relevant to quote two passages from one of Swamiji's letters from America to his Madras disciples, dated 24th of January 1894, Complete Works, Volume 5, page number 29. My whole ambition in life is to set in motion a machinery which will bring noble ideas to the door of everybody, and then let men and women settle their own fate. Let them know what our forefathers as well as other nations thought on the most momentous questions of life. Let them see specially what others are doing now and then decide. We are to put the chemicals together. Crystallization will be done by nature according to her laws. Work hard, be steady, have faith in the Lord. Set to work, I am coming sooner or later. Keep the motto before you. Elevation of the masses without injuring the religion. And remember that the nation lives in the cottage. But alas, nobody ever did anything for them. Can you raise them? Can you give them their lost individuality without making them lose their innate spiritual nature? Can you become an Occidental of Occidentals in your spirit of equality, freedom, work and energy, and at the same time a Hindu to the very backbone in religious culture and instincts? This is to be done, and we will do it. You are all bound to do it. Have faith in yourselves. Great convictions are the mothers of great deeds. Onward forever. Sympathy for the poor, the downtrodden, even unto death. That is our motto. Sister Nivedita, in her fascinating book, The Master as I Saw Him, reports his remarks about future human development in India, page number 249. We hail that the age of humanity now dawning would occupy itself mainly with the problems of the working folk, or as he expressed it, with the problems of the Shudra. We hail that the age of humanity now dawning would occupy itself mainly with the problems of the working folk, or as he expressed it, with the problems of the Shudra. We are to solve the problems of the Shudra, he said one day, but oh, through what tumults. He spoke as one gazing direct into the future, and his voice had the ring of prophecy. One great sentence in Vivekananda's complete works has helped me immensely to shape my life and character these 72 years in the service of humanity in India and abroad. One great sentence in Vivekananda's complete works has helped immensely to shape my life and character these 72 years in the service of humanity in India and abroad. Can you combine seriousness with childlike naivety? Naivety means saralata in Sanskrit. Can you combine seriousness with childlike naivety? Naivety means saralata in Sanskrit. In Mysore Ashrama in 1932 to 34, I enjoyed reading a book then popular by Harvard University professor William McDougall, Character and the Conduct of Life. One sentence attracted me, and I have conveyed it in my later lectures to our youths. Young people seek praise, but it is better to seek to be praiseworthy. One sentence attracted me, and I have conveyed it in my later lectures to our youths. Young people seek praise, but it is better to seek to be praiseworthy. Association with prisoners in jails, Chapter 4. Association with prisoners in jails, one of the national service activities I was engaged in after joining the Ramakrishna order was addressing prisoners in jails. It started first in the Mysore jail in 1933-34. About 20 prisoners used to attend. Next was in Bangalore Central Jail. Late Swami Somananda, a disciple of Swami Vivekananda, initiated this program several years earlier at the invitation of the then Mysore government. There was a small Sri Ramakrishna shrine also in the jail, and a small amount had been sanctioned for worship. After I had come to Bangalore Ashrama in 1935 and Somananda's passing away next year, I had to take up this work and I was happy to do so every Sunday morning. About 40 to 50 prisoners used to attend, and I used to convey nationalistic ideas and some ideas from the Gita to them. They used to like it. Sometime in that year, I found to my surprise and joy some new type of prisoners in my audience, Congress leaders H.C. Dasappa, who later became Union Railway Minister, and Chengal Raya Reddy, who later became the Congress Governor of Madhya Pradesh. The then Mysore government had banned the Mysore Nationalistic Party. Sri Ramakrishna's centenary celebration in 1936 was celebrated in the Bangalore Central Jail with a Harikatha performance by a popular Kathak followed by prasad distribution to all prisoners. The jail superintendent was also present. They made me to sit on a chair in the open ground, and the prisoners came one by one, everyone receiving one large laddu, and made pranams to me. Altogether, 1,000 prisoners. Some of the prisoners said then, "We have never enjoyed such happiness and joy before." In 1940-41, when I was in our Ramakrishna mission in Rangoon, Burma, I used to go, on invitation from the government, to the famous or notorious Insane jail, where Indian political prisoners also used to be sent by the British government. Chapter 5. India emerges as a creator of history from being a victim of history. For the past 1,000 years, India had ceased to be creative. Other nations created history through military aggression and conquest, and India continued to be the victim of that history. But that India has now gone forever. It started to be the creator of history when Swami Vivekananda, at the young age of 30, without any governmental or organizational support, went to America to speak at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in September 1893. On reaching Chicago on 30th of July 1893, Swamiji was told by the Parliament of Religions Committee that he had no credentials, that he was not sent to United States by any Hindu organizations. Swamiji then left for Boston as the guest of an American lady, in whose house he met John Wright, professor of Greek of the Harvard University. After a few minutes' talk with Swamiji, the professor was deeply impressed and asked him why should he not be a delegate to the Parliament of Religions. Swamiji replied, "I came only for that, but the Parliament people told me I have no credentials." Hearing this, the professor remarked, "To ask you, Swamiji, for your credentials is like asking the sun its right to shine." He then and there wrote a letter introducing Swamiji to the Parliament Committee, in which occurs this great sentence: "Here is a man more learned than all our learned professors put together." Here is a man more learned than all our learned professors put together. Swamiji went back to Chicago, got admission to the Parliament as a delegate of Hinduism. After passing through some difficult situations, and on 11 September 1893 at about 4 p.m., he gave his brief inaugural speech of about 5 minutes to the thousands of delegates assembled in the Columbus Hall, after addressing them as sisters and brothers of America. It was the first Vedantic thought bombshell which exploded in the minds of the large American audience, which spontaneously responded by a 2-minute applause. It was this event that told India herself and the world at large that India is awake and has become a creator of history. It was a real conquest of the heart and mind of a powerful nation like America by India. It was a real conquest of the heart and mind of a powerful nation like America by India. This became further strengthened later by Mahatma Gandhi's movement. I was in America when Attenborough's Gandhi was drawing crowds of Americans to see the film. Our own Indian citizens today, especially our youths and those engaged in our politics and administration, must absorb this powerful creative impulse of modern India and go beyond the current stagnant urges of the 3 P's: pay, prospect, and promotion, and of job, marriage, a fat salary, and a large dowry. I have no doubt that this regenerative process will set in and progress in the next century. Chapter 6. The uniqueness of India's influence on world history. We must know what Swami Vivekananda says about the nature of India's unique influence on the world. Lectures from Colombo to Almora, Complete Works, Volume 3, page 110. We never preached our thoughts with fire and sword. If there is one word in the English language to represent the gift of India to the world, if there is one word in the English language to express the effect which the literature of India produces upon mankind, it is the one word fascination. Fascination. It is the opposite of anything that takes you suddenly. It throws on you, as it were, a charm imperceptibly. To many, Indian thought, Indian manners, Indian customs, Indian philosophy, Indian literature are repulsive at the first sight. But let them persevere, let them read, let them become familiar with the great principles underlying these ideas, and it is 99 to 1 that the charm will come over them, and fascination will be the result. Slow and silent as the gentle dew that falls in the morning, unseen and unheard, yet producing a most marvelous result. The flowers, has been the work of the calm, patient, all-suffering spiritual race upon the world of thought. There are 2 Indias, eternal India, Amar Bharat, and current Sikh India, Rogi Bharat. To be continued. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.